Right, so just start in a comfortable seat. If you have a blanket or even a block or something at home, you can sit on top of it, and you kind of want to sit at the edge of it so that your hips are up higher than your knees, and that just lets you sit up a little bit taller, a little bit easier. It's a little bit better for our back. So just start out rolling your shoulders up and back a few times. And you can either start to close your eyes or just soften your gaze. Maybe rolling out your head and neck once or twice, just kind of working out any kinks. And then start to lengthen your breath. Starting to become in tune with your body. Noticing how you're feeling right now. Starting to turn your thoughts, your feelings, your gaze inward. Letting go of anything that's maybe weighing on your mind. And really for the next hour or so, just trying to be present. Trying to be here in this moment. With each breath, just feel your body relaxing a little bit more. Your mind, feel your mind calming, focusing on your breath or just becoming more present. And take a moment, whatever environment that you're in, just kind of taking everything in. So if you're outside, just kind of describe the feeling. So the wind, the sun setting, the warm air, the sounds from the city, the marina, the water and the waves. Embracing all of this or wherever you're at, part of your experience. Just knowing it doesn't need to be calm outside of you. You can always find that inner calmness within. And then just take a moment to think of something, remind yourself of something you're grateful for. Maybe setting an intention for class. And then you can slowly open up your eyes. And let's start to add some arm movement with your breath. So inhale, reach your arms out wide. Reach them up, drawing the shoulders back, finding length through your spine. And then exhale, palms are down, reaching your arms back down. We'll just do that 2 more times. So energy through the tips of your fingers, palms up, reach up. If you want, you can look up towards the sky and then exhale to bring the palms back down. Inhales and exhales about the same length. Last one. All right, from here we're just going to do an easy side stretch. So bring one hand down to the side. It doesn't matter which one. Other arm reaches up and over. So stretching out the obliques, keeping the sit bones down as you reach. So option, you can either look up towards your hand, or if it feels better for your neck, looking down towards your hand. Either option is fine. One more deep breath. And then we'll come back through to the center, bringing the other hand down, inhaling to reach up and find length. Exhale up and over to the other side. Reach. Keeping those sit bones down, but reaching out as far as you can. Noticing if one side's a little bit tighter than the other side. All right, good. And then we'll come back through to the center. And then from here, just walk the hands out as far as you can, but keeping the sit bones down, relaxing the head, relax the forehead. One more deep breath. And then walk your hands back. So we're going to come to our first Yin Yoga pose from here. So we're going to come to kneeling with our knees on the blanket. And we're doing our yogi toe stretch. So knees on the towel or the blanket. You're gonna kind of flex the toes. Take the toes behind you and you're gonna take your hands and try to separate the toes the best you can. All right, I'm gonna start the clock now. And then from here, just knowing that you can kind of control how much pressure you put on the toes by just kind of sitting up straight or sitting back. Or if you want to put less pressure on the toes, you can kind of start to come forward, kind of relieve a little bit of the pressure. We're going to try to hold it for a while here. I'm not going to say how long. I'll let you know afterwards. But whenever you need to, you can kind of take a break. So from here, let's just kind of stretch out the arms. So we'll inhale, reach our arms out to the side, open up your chest, squeeze the shoulders together in the back, look up towards the sky. And then exhale, we're going to round, kind of like a kneeling cat-cow pose. And then inhale, open up. Good. Exhale, round. We'll do that one more time to open up. And then this time, after you round your back, go ahead and give yourself a big hug, and we're going to come to eagle arms. So crossing. So option for eagle arms is to cross above the elbows, come into the traditional eagle arms, or just bringing the forearms together. It's surprisingly really hard just to do this variation as well. Both of them just bringing the shoulders together in the front. You want to lift the elbows up so they're in line with the shoulders. Come back to your breath, kind of working through the uncomfortableness. And then on your next inhale, you can open up your arms. Remember which arm was on top, which arm was on the bottom, because we're going to switch it. Come into eagle arms on the other side. Lifting the elbows up so they're in line with the forearms, and then your gaze, or in line with the shoulders, and then your gaze is just at your forearms. Inhale, open up again. Good. Exhale, you can just relax your hands down. Just a few more breaths. So really stretching, really working the toes. They're not going to break off. They'll be okay. I know, it's tough. 2 more deep breaths. And then you can go ahead and release, just patter the tops of your feet down. So that was 2.5 minutes. Yeah. Normally I go for 2 minutes, so I went a little extra this time. And then as a counter stretch, we're just going to have the tops of the feet down, and we're going to come back, hands behind us. So the counter stretch is stretching out our ankle and just letting the tops of our feet kind of press down onto the mat. We'll be here for at least a minute or so. And same thing, you can kind of control the pressure by how much you lean back, stretching out that, like the tops of your ankles, your Achilles a little bit, or you can come forward to take some of the pressure off. Two more deep breaths here. Good, and then you can come forward and we'll just kind of stretch it out. So stretch out that leg behind you, pressing back towards the heel. And then switch. All right, and we're going to set up for our next pose. It's our dragon pose, so our low lunge. So you'll use your blanket again as just padding for your knee. And we'll start with our right foot forward. Take your time to set up. So we'll have the knee right over top of the ankle, and then I like to lift that back knee up, yeah, and send it back. All right, so just settling into the pose. drawing the shoulders back and just taking a moment to check in and notice where you feel the stretch. This is a really great stretch for both our hips, our inner legs, even a little bit the hamstrings, and kind of on both sides. You want to make sure that you kind of keep your gaze maybe forward on the mat, that you don't kind of bring your head all the way down. You want to keep kind of your spine and your neck in line. Just coming back to your breath, finding some stillness in the pose. So as an option, you can stay down here. If you have like 2 blocks, you could also just bring your hands on blocks. But if you want to kind of relieve that back from kind of hunching over, you can come to an upright dragon pose, even if it's just for a few breaths, because you get the same stretch in your legs and your hips, whichever feels more comfortable. The hands down here, if you want to come up for a little bit, is fine. All right, from here we're going to just take our time and transition into a half splits pose. So you're going to start to walk your hands back, straighten that front, work towards straightening that front leg. It doesn't have to be straight, especially if you have tight hamstrings. Square the hips. So whatever leg is in front, think to send that hip back and the other leg forward. And maybe coming forward a little bit towards your front knee. Deeper. Feeling that stretch underneath the front leg. Using this time to just come back to your breath. And we'll take 2 or 3 more deep breaths right here. When you're ready, slowly making your way out of the pose, so maybe coming forward and just moving nice and slow to bring that leg back. We'll just take that leg behind us, stretch it out, pressing back through the heel, and then from here you can come into a downward facing dog, spreading out the fingers, lifting the hips up and back to really stretch out both of the legs here. Maybe heel toeing the feet. And then from here, you can come back onto your hands and knees. We'll take a child's pose for a few more breaths before we do the other side. So just sitting back, reach the arms forward, bring the forehead down. So just kind of taking our time between poses to allow the muscles that we just stretched to really relax. Release that tension, that stiffness. It usually goes away 30 seconds to a minute after the pose. And then from here, you can walk the hands back and we'll set up for the other side. So just bringing the opposite foot forward and just checking the knees over the ankle, lift the back knee up, send it back a little bit further so you're getting the best stretch you can, a long distance from your back of your heel to your knee, settling in on this side. Noticing how this side feels compared to the other side. And I forgot to mention, that's right. Anytime you want, you can kind of come up just to relieve your back. We'll be here just a few more breaths. And then you can make your way back down, and we'll slowly make transition to a half splits pose, walking the hands back, keeping the hips high over top of the knee, working towards straightening that front leg. Squaring the hips, so left hip back, right hip forward as you fold forward towards that front knee. About 2 more deep breaths in this pose. And then take your time to make your way out, coming forward, and then just stretching out that leg behind you a little bit. Pressing back through the heel. And you can come into a downward facing dog to stretch out both the legs. Maybe bending the knees, coming up on the toes, or just heel toeing the feet. And then we'll make our way into a child's pose for just a few breaths before we come to our next stretch. All right, from here, just slowly walk your hands back. We can come to a seat, just moving our blankets to the side. All right. So the next pose, I'm going to offer two options because one of the options doesn't always work for everyone. So this pose, the first option, this kind of, I guess, the harder option is going to be you're going to bend your leg back. If you can, bringing the heel towards you, it's going to stretch the quad muscle, the knee, strengthen the knee a little bit. But what we're basically doing in this pose is coming back maybe to here, here, or all the way. So, and kind of stretching the stomach. So if that is really challenging or you just don't like that pose, just the other option you can do instead of it is this stretch. All right, so take your option. No worries, whichever one feels better. All right. If you are lying down, you want to reach your arms up overhead, grabbing the elbows, and just allowing the hands behind you to release. Yeah, so just relax on the mat behind you. Just feeling that nice stretch in the top of your leg. If you're here, that's perfectly fine as well. Just kind of finding what feels good for your body in this pose. Using this time to come back to your breath. Yeah, and you can kind of even figure it out. For some people, you can bring your feet together. For some people, it might work better if you take your knees apart, heels apart, kind of play with it. But basically, you want to feel it on the quadriceps, but it shouldn't hurt the knee. And a little bit back if you're coming down. Maybe also like lengthening through your abdomen. Two more deep breaths here. And then you're slowly going to push yourself up, just like halfway. You're going to straighten out that leg, shake it out, and our counter stretch is going to be a little mini Shavasana. So just lying back, you're already in it. So just a few breaths here. Just letting the legs stretch out, the knee relax, the back to relax before we switch and do the other side. And then taking your time to push yourself up to a seat. And we'll just set up for the other side. So bending the other knee back. And just kind of seeing what works. Like if you're able to, you can kind of keep you want the sit bones down. So if you can bring the knee in and keep the sit bones down, that's fine. If you need to bring it out a little bit, that's fine too. It might be enough to just stay here, seated, and you might feel it enough. If that just is not feeling like a good stretch for you, you can just come here. And take your time to make your way down. Maybe just kind of pausing halfway, checking in, seeing how it feels on this side. Maybe you stay here for a little bit. Or maybe you come all the way down, reaching your elbows overhead, relaxing them down to kind of frame your head above you. about 2 more deep breaths. And then you can slowly maybe come up halfway, release that leg if you want to shake it out a little bit, and we'll come to a Shavasana for 3 to 5 breaths as our counter stretch. Good, and then you can slowly push your way back up to a seat. For the next pose, it's going to be a butterfly stretch. So bringing the feet together. And you don't want to bring the heels in really close. You can, it'll stretch more of your inner thigh, but we also want to stretch the hips. So if you press the heels away a little bit, it'll be a little bit more relaxed. We'll also stretch the hips a little bit more. So just to start out, draw your shoulders back, lengthen through your spine, and start to hinge forward. So starting with the straight back, keeping the chest lifted, and think lifting forward from the hips, maybe staying there a few breaths, trying to get a little bit deeper. And then whenever you're ready, you can kind of relax the shoulders, relax the arms. If you have like your blanket nearby, you could use it just kind of to also relax the arms. And because we are holding it longer, you do want to allow the body to relax a little bit more into the pose. So it's kind of that fine line, because you want to, they say in Yin Yoga, you want to find your edge. So your edge, you want to really be working, you want to be stretching the deepest you can at the time, but not so much that you're yanking, you're pulling, not so much that you can't also let the muscles relax. And we really do want to let the muscles relax so that the muscles aren't taking over with the stretch, the muscle tissues, so that we're able to access the deeper tissues and the ligaments and the joints and the bones that are beyond the muscles. And as we hold it longer, so just 30 seconds into any stretch, you should be able to go a little bit further. And, you know, we're going to be holding this pose. So the average length that I try to hold each of the poses is 4 minutes. So we'll be holding this pose about 4 minutes. And you should be able to kind of just check in with yourself throughout the pose and see if you can go even just a tiny bit further into the pose, finding a new edge the longer we hold it. If it ever becomes like painful for any reason, of course, just kind of come out, you know, shake it out, and you can always find an alternative stretch or something else that works better for you. We'll be here just 2 or 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, just work your way up nice and slow. So just slowly coming up, pausing, just allowing your back to straighten. We can take the feet out wide. They catch a fish back there? Very exciting. Do you guys see the moon as well? We have the nice moon tonight. All right, and then we'll come to reverse tabletop. So heels in towards us, hands behind us, lift the hips up. And this is just a nice, you can drop the head back. This is just a nice counter stretch for the forward folding. Good, and then we'll lower back down. All right, very good. So we'll set up for pigeon pose next. So for pigeon pose, if you want, you can use your blanket kind of as just like extra padding under your hip, so you can kind of, maybe you just roll it up a little bit and have it off to the side so it's there in case you want to use it. We'll start out on our hands and knees, so you can either come into a pigeon from hands and knees, bringing the knee behind the wrist, or you can come from a down dog. Some people like to just kind of stretch it out here, bringing the knee behind the wrist. So either way, fine, just whatever you like. Sending, once you bring it there, send that back knee back, and this is where you can kind of set up, if you want that blanket to put underneath the hip, just to have that padding. If your hip's kind of high up, or, you know, if you have a block, you can do that too. To allow you, and this, because we're holding it longer, we want to allow the hip to relax a little bit to the side. And then you can make your way down. So just kind of finding a comfortable position. It can be on your forearms. If you have another blanket, or if you're not using the blanket for your hips, you can rest your head on your blanket. Or you can just stretch the hands in front of you, bringing your forehead down. But you really want to, in this pose, try to just release and let go. So just say to yourself when you're here, just let go. Coming back to your breath, being open to whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions kind of pass through as we're finding stillness in the stretch. Just check in with yourself. Make sure that you're not tensing up anywhere. So relaxing your jaw, relaxing your face. About 2 more deep breaths. And then from here, slowly walk your hands back. We're going to come to an upright pigeon pose. So just staying here for a few breaths, drawing your shoulders back, lengthen through your spine, about 3, 4 breaths here. I'm going to take a photo because you guys are all wearing the same shirt. All right, and then you can slowly make your way out of the pigeon pose, removing and kind of just, you can stretch that leg in the back, and then when you're ready, coming into a downward facing dog to stretch out both the legs. Just doing a few hip circles. If that feels good, just kind of stretching them out in whatever way feels good. All right, and then coming back down to the hands and knees. We'll take the blanket over to the other side, and we'll just set up for the other side. So just taking your time to set up and to come to an upright pigeon to start. Relaxing, allowing the hip to relax, and then when you're ready, making your way down. Maybe staying on your forearms for a little while, and then you might want to reach your arms out, but just kind of pay attention and noticing if you're if you start to tense up anywhere, and just remind yourself, just give into the stretch, allow your body to release in this deep hip stretch, just let go. One more deep breath. And then you can walk your hands back, and we're going to pause in that upright pigeon again on this side for a few more breaths. Lengthen through your spine. All right, very good. And then you can release, slowly taking your time to make your way out of the pose. However you want, you can roll it over to the side or just come onto your hands and knees or in a down dog. Stretching it out, doing some hip circles, and then eventually coming into downward facing dog. Stretching out both the legs a few times, few breaths. And then we'll come onto our hands and knees, make our way into a child's pose for a few breaths. So child's pose option, either traditional knees apart, hands forward, or another option to kind of relax, allow the knees to relax and the shoulders to relax, is to have the knees together and hands behind you. Great, and then you can make your way, actually we're gonna come onto our stomach for the next pose, and we're gonna stretch out our chest and our arm. I know Morgan did some paddling, so this might feel good on one side. All right, so you're gonna take your arm out long. The head can just be on the forehead to start out with, and you're gonna roll onto your side. And I'm gonna turn to just show you what it's gonna look like. So the knees can come up to start with, the side of your head's gonna come down, the arm straight out. And then option to straighten the bottom leg, bend the top knee, that kind of a little bit deeper because you're opening up the side muscles. And then you can either keep that hand down, that top hand for stability, or bring it behind your lower back to also open up the shoulders. Good, everyone looks perfect. So this is just opening up the chest, the shoulders. Deep breaths. One more deep breath. And then you can slowly roll back onto your stomach. And we're going to take a counter stretch for the arm and shoulder. So that hand that's out long is going to come underneath your other armpit, the palm up, and then your head's going to go on top of the other hand. So that shoulder's kind of scrunching in towards you. Yes. Good, and then you can make your way back up, and we'll just set up for the other side. So taking the opposite arm out long, rolling onto that side, bending the knees to start out with, bringing the side of the head down, and then if you want, straightening the bottom leg, bending that top knee up. And that hand can go, the top hand can go just right on the mat in front of you or behind your back to kind of pull that shoulder open a little bit more. One or two more deep breaths. And then slowly rolling onto your stomach. We'll take that arm that was out long, bringing it underneath your other armpit, the palms up, and then the forehead goes on top of your hand and relaxes down on the mat. And then you can make your way back up, and we're going to roll onto our backs and just finish on our back. So you can either just roll over, kind of turn around and turn over, whichever you want. And then you can hug your knees in towards your chest to start out with. Maybe rocking side to side or just moving in little circles. And then we'll take our arms out to the side. Drop both knees up and over towards one side. If you want, you can relax one hand on the knees. Other arm can kind of stay out long, or you can just kind of bend the elbow, bringing it up overhead. Maybe looking up, or even closing your eyes. The twisting is kind of allowing our spine to release, especially after the different poses that we did during class. Helps kind of realign the spine back in place. And then taking your time to come back through to the center. Bringing the knees back in towards your chest and then dropping both knees up and over towards the other side. And then you can slowly make your way back through to the center. Maybe reach your arms up overhead, straightening your legs. And then making your way into Shavasana. So just finding a comfortable position to spend the last few moments of class, just to allow your body to completely release and relax. Allowing your back to lie flat. Scanning your body and noticing if you have places of tension in your body and consciously trying to release them, relax those areas. Sink a little bit deeper into your mat. From here, take a nice deep inhale in through your nose. Complete exhale out through your mouth. We'll do that one more time. Inhale. Complete exhale, let it go. And then start rolling out your ankles, rolling out your wrists a few times. You can bend your knees, maybe reach your arms up overhead again. And roll onto your side. Maybe pausing there for 2 or 3 breaths. And then whenever you're ready, you can push yourself up to a seat. All right, and we'll just finish by bringing our hands to our heart center, taking one more deep inhale and reaching our arms out and up. pressing the palms together to bring our hands back down. And just taking a moment to feel a sense of gratitude. And just allow the positive energy that you feel from class to be a benefit to yourself and the people around you throughout the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Namaste. Great. Awesome. Beautiful moon tonight. I know, I have to. Hi, guys.